people of Earth, and welcome to Shortcuts number 18. I'm your host, Bright Garlic, coming to you from the very warm autumnal plains of central Victoria, where I think our top today is estimated to be about 34 degrees Celsius. Today's Shortcuts is a little bit different, a little bit personal. It's all about what I do to prepare for ET contact and what you can do too. A lot of people have asked me about this subject over the years. I've written about it extensively on my blog, ET and I've talked about it in various videos, and I've talked about it face-to-face and online with different people. So I thought I'd try and distill the key elements of that practice so that it makes sense to everybody else. So over the years, I've learned to do different things to prepare for ET contact. And there's been a lot of trial and error, and I guess a movement from not really doing anything to realizing that certain things help. And what I do depends on the types of contact that I'm interested in. And there are two basic types of ET contact that I use. One is an internal world contact, where I meet the ETs in a co-created mental space, and you can read about that on my blog. The other is, of course, external contact, where I meet them in the outer world. And that's the sort of contact I guess most people are after. That's a couple of budgies on the veranda you can hear there, and my cat licking itself in the background on the bed. Forgive those noises. I'll continue. So regarding if I make internal world contact, I don't do anything except at the beginning of a session I go through a period of deep relaxation, anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour, and I find that that really helps me to get in the right place mentally and to co-create and enter that co-created imagined world in which I meet the real ETs. I typically use a method taught by Dr. Ainsley Mears, the Australian psychiatrist who was very active in the 70s and the 80s, and he taught a method for relaxing the body with the mind. Sometimes I might also use a typical Buddhist form of body scan, or scan myself with a line or a laser, or allow myself to turn to some other material such as sand or water or light, whatever I feel like I need at the time, and that's usually very effective. I usually also decide if I want to approach the session with some questions, or if I just want to let the ETs guide what happens. Sometimes I can go in with a number of questions and the session will go in a different direction, or sometimes I go in with nothing in mind at all and the ETs will take the session through a particular direction that I hadn't anticipated at all. And often they're, I guess you'd say, teaching or instructing kind of sessions. Now, if it's external contact, well, of course, this is a very different scenario. So there are numerous approaches depending on the kind of contact I would like to occur, whether it's seeing objects in the sky, talking to ETs mentally, or meeting the ETs face-to-face, or say meeting face-to-face with ET friends. Now, if it's seeing objects in the sky, I don't do anything to prepare for that, but sometimes I ask earlier in the day and I give them thanks. Now, if it's talking to the ETs, sometimes I ask earlier in the day and give thanks, and then I decide if I want to ask them questions or let them guide our conversation. Sometimes, but not always, I go through the deep relaxation process, or perhaps I meditate, in which case there really isn't relaxation, it's just stilling the mind. To some degree, the body becomes still as well. And finally, I sometimes go outside where it's really peaceful and quiet, but sometimes I stay inside. It all depends on what I feel like doing. Now, this is the big one. If I want to meet with the ETs face-to-face, here's what I do. And this stuff is really important. I find that if I don't do this, it's not that I won't necessarily have an experience. I may, but I may not have an awareness of the experience or a memory of the experience. Or I might find that during the experience I really struggle to be in their presence without getting sick or highly emotional. What I try to do, paramount before everything, is I stay off all electronics for several days. What I'm trying to do with these first couple of things is to make my energy as strong as possible. And then I eat well, I hydrate well, I sleep well, and I exercise gently. I don't push myself too hard so that I'm exhausted. So those two things, staying off electronics and eating well, hydrating well, sleeping well, exercising gently, those are absolutely critical to making your body's energy strong and really being prepared for that face-to-face contact. Because the one thing you need to know about the ETs is they have very strong physical energies, and they can be very overwhelming to your body. They can knock you out, render you unconscious, or they can turn you into a blubbering mess and make you highly emotional. Then typically what I will do is I meditate that morning and just make sure that I start the day in a very calm, tranquil way, and that I'm aware of what's going on in my mind. Then throughout the day, all day, I try to stay calm no matter what I'm doing. I try to avoid anything stressful, and I let go of as much as I can. I don't go into a session like that with any emotional baggage. And if anything does cause me stress through the day, I try to process it and let it go as quickly as I can. As well as that, I will try to connect with the natural world throughout the day, and for me that involves things like going outside, watching the sky, watching the clouds, enjoying the birds. Maybe I will see kangaroos or wallabies in the evening, connecting with the trees. It's all about feeling connected to the wider world. And then what's really important, and usually I'll have some sense of this before that day arrives, but I'll make sure that I clarify this on the day, is I try to know why I want contact at that particular time. What are my reasons? I clarify my reasons. I clarify my intentions. And that's really, really important, and you have to be really, really honest with yourself about that. I will also sometimes ask the ETs for that contact, maybe at the beginning of the day, maybe later in the day. And not only will I ask them at the time of the session, I will ask them probably once during the day. I will make sure that I've given them plenty of time to respond. I mean, they can respond very quickly, and they can move through what we think of as time, so that it isn't an issue, but it feels like the right thing to me to do, to give them what feels like a right amount of warning, I guess. I'm keen on contact, giving you like 8-10 hours, whatever, so that they can reprioritize or do whatever they need to do. And then what I will try to do, if not once more during the day, certainly at the beginning of the session, is I will relax deeply. Well, I will sometimes relax deeply and really try to tune into my body, or I will meditate and I will try to relax my body, but not so deeply. The key here is to experience stillness and to have a very calm and centered and grounded mind where I'm not dominated by thoughts. Now, the kind of ET contact that I didn't mention is if I have a face-to-face experience, but I'm going off-world, such as going to LCI 35, which I did this morning, about an hour ago. I don't do anything at all for that. I initially started by trying to take care of my body, making my energy strong, doing all those things I talked about. But I found that eventually I grew accustomed to it, and so now I don't do anything at all. Maybe it's because I'm used to the feel of the NELSA, used to the feel of their world, but I don't do anything. But certainly that's not what I'd suggest to other people. So everybody's preparation is going to be different. You're going to have different needs than I do, and so your preparation for this will be different. But there are some key things, I think, that are important for you to know if you want to prepare for ET contact. Now, I'm not talking, please note up to now, I'm not talking about that period where you sit down and attempt to make contact. I'm talking about the period that leads up to that. So, some key things. Number one, know why you want contact. Have pure intentions regarding that. Number two, look after your body for several days leading up to contact. That way you'll be as strong as you possibly can, because there's nothing worse than having what you want and then blacking out or becoming highly emotional or being overwhelmed and not remembering anything, or the ETs choosing to dampen your memories. Number three, have a calm day leading up to it. Absolutely critical. Try to eliminate any stress. Number four, have some sort of experience of deep relaxation or meditation. No pie-in-the-sky garbage of trying to visualize particular magical or astounding things. This is all about just sitting with your mind and your body nice and grounded, letting your mind settle into its natural state and letting thought subside. When you let thought subside, you're also ready for them if they wish to communicate with you, but you're also ready to be aware in your body and your mind of their presence in other ways. And if I were to give you any two people, let's say the Dalai Lama versus somebody who is bouncing around off the walls. Like, for example, when I went shopping the other day, I saw a guy in front of me, and he was walking with a buddy. He was a tall, thin young guy in his early 20s, and he was imitating the guy, pushing the trolleys, and then he did some leg stretches like a ballet dancer on a pole, and then he was running around in circles. His left arm kept swinging behind him, way past his ass, and his right hand was holding a phone, and he was watching a video simultaneously. And he had this really peculiar gangster style walk, and he was just totally tripping. His mind was all over the place. So if I ask you, who would you rather sit down with, the Dalai Lama or this guy? Who is going to be easier for you to connect with? I think you know who that will be. So, meditation and having a calm mind are absolutely critical to being aware of what is going on around you and being able to connect with ETs. And finally, try to be attuned to your body so that all of your senses are working. The 5 senses you have and the many other internal senses that you have. And I'll leave it for you to figure out what they are. I've talked about 19 such senses on the blog. But there are many other senses we can attune our body to, and those senses will inform us of what else is going on around us. So when you have a process like relaxation or meditation, and please note they are different, although you can have relaxation during meditation. When you are relaxing, you are not necessarily meditating. Those processes and being able to approach a session feeling calm will help you to attune your body. So those are my 5 suggestions, the key things that you can do in whatever way is meaningful to you. As I said, everybody's preparation ought to be different, but this is what works for me. So I wish you all the best with your preparations for ET contact. Cowabunga, people of Earth. I'm Bray Garlick.